Yo!
Yo!
Let's no longer waste time. Let's podcast. I am John Helfman. He's John Marsh. And we're two 50-something idiots.
Marketing, advertising, executives talking about nothing. What's going on, man?
How are you?
I'm good. I am good.
You looked energized.
I am. I went for a long bike ride today and I felt good.
What's
retired? Long is like, it was 8 miles.
Okay.
It seemed long. It was 4 miles up, 4 miles back. I was runner. I ran for a long time.
I remember that.
I hate running because everything hurts. And I don't understand people our age plus that can run. Like, I'm sort of jealous of them. And also part of me is like, they're lying, they're in pain. And there was just too much pain. The pro con of running just wasn't there for me. So then I started, and I live in an area that's very flat. So biking's very easy. So I went for a long ride and I just,
you look good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. You look, there's color to you. I don't know. Not like you were normally pale, but
usually jaundice.
You know what's funny? Like, I was at the beach this weekend and I come down there, I'm just wearing a shirt. Like, I just walked down to the beach and I saw one of my neighbors and, we start talking a little bit. And she looks at me, she's like, have you lost weight? Like, you look good. Have you lost weight? And like, I've done nothing. Like,
right.
Not like I am the same as I've ever been, eating, exercising, nothing.
CrossFit.
And I was like, no, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Nothing has changed. And she was like, well, you look good. And I was like, thank you. And like, I felt good for about 10 seconds. Then I was like, what did I look like?
Right.
Like, if I've done nothing, right? Like, was it the clothes I've been wearing the last year or 2 years? Because I haven't seen her since the summer of last year.
Yep.
So then it's weird. Like, I couldn't just take that as a compliment in the now. I started thinking about all the bullshit I did a year ago. And did I look worse?
It's hard to take a compliment. I was told,
I hate compliments.
I was told a couple of days ago that I looked skinny. Now, some people that might be a compliment. To a person, like, I've been fighting skinny since I was like 10. I've always was like super, super thin, big head. I look like, a popsicle, not a pop. Well, yeah.
A lollipop.
Lollipop. Yeah, there it is. And that's a weird, and that's always like in your head. Like, you always look like that. And then I think I grew shoulders probably in college. And that helped. But I was always kind of like this tall, gangly person. And I've sort of gained some muscle in my older years. But she was like, yeah, you look really skinny. And I was like, I should take that as a compliment. And I think she meant it as a compliment.
Right.
But because your brain is your worst enemy, I was like, well, do I look sick? Like, do I not look great?
Right.
Okay. Like, that wasn't what I was going for, was skinny, but sure. It's like someone be like, oh, he looks so sinewy.
But
like,
then you're like, yeah. But then you're like, was I chunky?
Right.
Skinny is a weird word.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that's not like, you look good. To me, if I saw someone who lost a lot of weight, I would say you look really good.
Yeah, you look great.
I wouldn't say you look skinny.
No.
Because
generally they're not. They're not.
Yeah, because that implies
they've lost some weight.
And there's also people who fight skinny, where skinny, like, they're too skinny, and they feel. And I think they have the same kind of self-consciousness of skinny that I might have of fat.
Right. I mean, if we're honest, like, everyone's fucked up. Everyone's brain's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, we all are. Like, seriously, like, the guys, like, listeners, we're all fucked up, and we all have really horrible perceptions of what we look like and what we sound like. And I mean, even just doing this, I mean, listening to my own voice, I'm like, oh my God.
I don't ever watch or listen to this. And the fact that now it's on video, like I think I said it in one of the episodes, like, all I do is stare at myself. That's it. I'm just looking at me like,
right. What I do.
It's awful.
But if you think about that, this is like watching the Grateful Dead. Like we're not moving, we're not doing anything. There's no
We've had that
show.
disclaimer come up before. Like if
Yeah,
you're
there's no
watching video
puppet
for
that
something to
comes up and
happen,
starts looking around. Like there's really nothing. I should start doing that and just like putting puppets on my hands and just start like, I'm just like come in and out of frame.
I got
But
this guy.
yeah,
Remember this guy?
there's really nothing.
There's like nothing's. It would be funny though if like we're just sitting here talking, like like I should just put this on a little thing. You could just kind of walk
just
by.
like on a stick. Just
Yeah.
let just for the viewers. But yeah, like you get in your head, and I think I turned a corner when it came to fitness, where it was no longer about like what I look like, but just like how I felt. And that's an honest truth. Like that,
Yeah.
I like at first you're like, oh, I looked good, or I was trying to look good, or I wanted biceps and I wanted to look like, I don't know, Brad Pitt in Fight Club. Like every guy wants to kind of look like that. And then you're like, the realism's like, I'm never going to look like that because I'm not 5'7". That's not my frame. But when, like we were talking about, when you get a compliment, and you just should just take it like, thank you.
Right.
Yeah. And then did you feel like you had to give her a compliment? Like, hey, I really like your hat.
No, I was too busy in my own head. Like, what did I look like last year?
Wait,
like
what?
it's, but I've got really like, like I know that we're all kind of messed up, but like, I'm definitely messed up. Like I have whatever that body, what's it called?
Dysmorphia.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm a mess, right? And I was a chubby kid, right? So
that's right.
I think it just kind of stuck in my head. Like when I look in the mirror, I basically see Louis Anderson. It's weird, right? And so I'll look at, I'm just like, ugh. And like I'm going for everything. I'm looking at all different angles of a shirt. I don't like clothes that are too tight fitting, that show, like I like when they're hanging off a little bit and they don't hide anything, because I'll put on something that fits perfectly. And my wife will be like, you look really good. I'm like, yeah, but there's like, if I turn like this, you can see my belly, or like, if I do, like, I'm bad. Right. And I just have no perception, because I'll ask my wife, I'm like, does this shirt make me look fat? And she's like, you look good. It fits. And I'm like, this doesn't make me look fat. Like I feel like a whale.
Right.
But then like the opposite will happen too, where like something will happen where like I'm convinced I've got cancer, like I've done all the Google things. Like there'll be something weird. I'll feel a couple weird things. I'll look stomach cancer. I'll have 2 of the 12 symptoms. And then, cancer is always weight loss, right? Like weight loss is always one of the things, like, or,
severe, rapid.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weight loss without trying, or however it's worded. And so like there will be times where like I'll be staring in the mirror and I'm like, man, my face looks a lot thinner. Am I losing weight? I think I'm losing weight. That's a third symptom. I think it's probably cancer and I'm too skinny. And like, then I'll go tell my wife, I'm like, do I look skinnier? And she'll be like, no. And I'll be like, you sure? Like, I feel like it looks like I'm losing weight without trying. She'll be like, you look exactly the same as you look when you say, do I look fat? Like you look the same. Nothing.
She sees you all the time though.
Yeah.
Like there's this theory when you start doing fitness or exercise, like the first 30 days, if you keep consistent and you follow a routine and a diet, first 30 days, you're going to see nothing. Like you personally will see nothing, and that you should never look at a scale. 60 days, someone that hasn't seen you well will notice, will say you look thin. And 90 days, you will see something. You will catch a glimpse of yourself. You will then see yourself in a different light. And it's this 30, 60, 90 thing that you have to literally wait 3 months for you to personally be able to take in the inner compliment of, I think this is working. I think I can see that my arm doesn't flab anymore, or that my face, it's usually faces, women carry weight in different places, but yeah, I fortunately have never struggled with weight. I think like my fat years was when I was like eating way too much protein. I think I weighed in at like 195 was the biggest. And I always called it my fat. Like I just felt big. Like I was huge everywhere, but I also had this like gut, which is so funny because I was like skinny fat. I had like these little thin legs and like this top heavy part. And I was just like, and I had a gut. And I was like, this is dumb. This is so dumb. I'm doing this to myself.
But that's I have my body type. I hate, right. And of course I do nothing about it. Like you're like 30, 60, 90. I'm like, I'll take your word for it. I don't think I've ever gotten past
Sounds
30.
good. Right.
But yeah, but like I've always told people, if you were to take a marshmallow and put 4 toothpicks in it, like arms and legs, you got me. Right. And because I got the skinny arms, skinny little wrists, skinny ankles, skinny legs,
and a marshmallow,
blob of a torso. Right. And where it fucks me is like pants, jeans, shorts, because I don't have a butt and and there's nothing below like where my stomach line is.
Mm-hmm.
So pants, they're either over my belly and like, so it's a normal size, or they go below my belly and I have to tighten it because there's nothing keeping them up.
It's a waist problem.
Yeah. I have a huge waist problem. Like, and that's why I like elastic, right? Or like whatever. Like, I don't know if they make jeans that do. I wear shorts but like my jeans. Belt, like I tie my belt tight, but then like if I pull it over my belly, it's a fucking mess, man. Right. I hate, and like sometimes I'll gauge how I feel by like how, or whether I'm fat or skinny based on how hard it is to get my belt on. Like sometimes it just falls right into the hole and I'm like, I'm losing weight.
Yeah, look at me.
Right.
Doing nothing.
Yeah. Other times like it gets in there and like when I sit down, I feel the belt mash against me and I'm like, I've gained weight.
Something's happening.
That's probably my biggest. I know it sounds crazy, but how easy my belt goes into the loop is basically my scale.
It's your litmus test of like how you're doing fitness wise with doing nothing. Yeah.
Belt. And then sometimes it gets a little tight and I'll try and rationalize it like it was just came out of the dryer. So maybe it's a little tighter. Oh, dude, I still have it. We have to do dryer sheets.
Oh, okay.
I actually got a complaint from someone that
nice.
They're like, you either don't pick out of the hat or you pick out of the hat and you don't even fucking spend one. Like we're not even, we used to be lazy about it and spend 5 minutes. Now we just pick out a hat and we're just like, oh, Mussolini. And then we talk about like, fitness. But
I love that there's been a complaint already. I love it. All right.
I know.
I'll do it.
What they say, you'd rather get booed than no noise at all, right?
Because I mean,
what is there even to talk about with dryer? Like they're dryer sheets.
I don't know. I still have to talk. We have things to talk about.
Do you use dryer sheets?
You know what's so funny? I did. Like I like the idea of them.
You quit.
But then like I always forget to buy new ones at the grocery store. I'm not a dryer sheet person, but like once in a while, like I don't write a shopping list when I go shopping. I'm like, it's like jazz with me, man. I kind of know what I need, but if I remember it, I remember it. If I don't, I don't. But if I think of it, I'll get dryer sheets because for some reason, Big Laundry has told me that it helps, and like,
well, static, right? It's not about the smell.
But is there I think is static seasonal? Like, is there static in the summertime?
I don't know.
Like, I think we should try to figure that out.
But I will say this though, even with dryer sheets in the winter, they're static.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't, even when I'm pulling stuff apart, it's like,
oh, it's violent. Oh
like
yeah. Yeah. No, I do like the idea. It's probably it's killing our environment or it's doing something wrong, right? Dryer sheets healthy. Yeah. It's probably giving us cancer. Right.
Dryer sheets.
Yeah. Like, everything's giving us cancer, but I think that there's something it releases a chemical and the chemical then gets in the fibers of the blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to die. Because then you sweat.
I almost need to research this. I've never heard that.
Oh, I went down a rabbit hole about like microplastics. Oh my God.
We're about to lose everyone.
Oh, we're dying. We're all dying. It's just slowly, one day at a time. I get it. But
when you were married, did you do your own laundry or did she?
I did my own laundry and I've always done my own laundry. I am very phobic of anyone touching my laundry.
Really?
Yeah. It's weird.
let's yeah.
Go on.
Tell me more.
It is an irrational fear of judgment, but yet there's nothing to judge of my laundry that anyone would like be picking up my laundry and smelling it or inspecting it or anything. But I've always done my own laundry.
Who was in your house that rummages through your hamper though? Like, I mean, like when you're married. Like you
Again, no
felt
one.
like she would judge.
No, it's an
Okay.
irrational. It's so
Well, yeah, we know
irrational.
that. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
implied.
me. It's me being afraid of mascots. I can't tell you why. I'm terrified of them.
You are?
The Oriole bird. Oh yeah, I break out in a cold sweat. I will
Uh,
literally break out in a cold sweat around the Oriole
This
bird.
isn't a bit. This is for
No,
real.
this is real, honest to goodness anxiety.
I'm gonna go fix a snack, and you just keep talking. I gotta.
I'm a mess. Like I got all
wait,
kinds of stuff.
hold on. You're unpacking a lot.
So
Let's.
so when I started cohabitating with someone,
All right, so we're still on laundry, right?
yeah, we're laundry.
Okay, we will get
Yeah.
back to the
Oriole
mascot.
bird hasn't shown up yet.
Okay.
I just like for some reason, when you first start living with someone, you have your habits and they have their habits, and you kind of like it meshes, and you just have to be comfortable, like going to the bathroom in front of some, not literally in front of someone, but what I mean? Like you have to like balance it all out.
That's still
And
private for us, by the way. This is 23, 24 years we've been living
yeah,
together. And
you
like,
should close the door. It's why it's there.
the door's closed. And like, I'll even
door
wait
should
for
be
her.
closed.
Yeah. And I'll even wait for her to like leave the bedroom if I'm upstairs in the.
Listen,
in the,
I just
master
got through a stomach virus of 2 weeks. No one wants to do that in front of anybody. Like
That
like,
could also be why you look skinny.
I think I did lose some weight probably.
Yeah.
It was definitely a cleanse. That's TMI. But anyway, so laundry to me, I like doing laundry too. I find it makes me feel normal. Like I'm participating and I'm a participant in this world because I can do, when the chips are down, I can still do laundry.
There's also like a start, middle, and
Mhm.
finish where it's a sense of accomplishment.
I like folding laundry. I like ironing. Like I just like the process of it. Like I find the whole thing very cathartic. But laundry I've always done by myself, and it really wasn't like, I don't know what it is. I wish I should unpack that with my therapist of why there's this like real weird sort of, again, it's irrational. It's so irrational that I felt like I was going to be judged.
So did you guys have like separate hampers?
Yes.
Okay. So like when it was time for you to do your laundry and your thing, it was piled up in one basket.
I had
basket.
my basket. She had her clothes basket. Or once in a while, like there would be times that I know in all the years we were married, like there were times where I would probably like, I'm about to go do workout clothes. Do you have any?
Okay.
So it would be on my watch. So
do you separate like
yes,
like you separate down to the workout clothes?
mm-hmm. I only do like, I do a batch of my, like that's in a separate type of hamperish type of thing because of one, the type of what things are made out of, and two, it just like I put similar things together. Like all my fitness workout stuff is like, when I was boxing too, like, man, that stuff's like nasty. So I was like washing all of that stuff separately.
Like I know you're supposed to, right? I mean,
I guess
I've always done my own laundry until
Big Laundry thinks you should. Yeah.
Big Laundry thinks you need to separate. That way they can get
Do
in all
more
the different loads, right?
Yeah.
I did my own laundry when I was in college. I did my own laundry right after college, did my own laundry up until, my wife and I moved in together. And then she just started doing it, not in like a cliche, well, this is your job and I do this around the house. She just always started doing it. Right. And I'm fine doing it.
Does your dad do laundry?
My dad?
Mm-hmm.
No. I don't even think he knows where the laundry room is.
Yeah.
And but I could do it, right? It's not hard. Like when I come home during the summer, if they're living at the beach and I kind of commute back and forth, and I come home, so I have clothes here, right? I'll do a load of laundry and not think like, oh, how does this thing turn on? Where do you put it in? Where's the door? Like I'm not one of those things. I'll happily do it.
Right.
I will say this though. So, and my wife feels the exact same way. When we took over this house, the washer and dryer was probably from the 70s. Like it had, it was like hot, medium, cold. That's it. Right.
Quarters.
Like Yeah. Yeah. And the dryer was just like a button, you know?
Wow.
And it was amazing.
Gas.
Like we loved it. Right. And it finally got to the point, like we even fixed it 2 or 3 times before because it was probably, I'm not even exaggerating, it's probably 25 years old.
Did it
And
rattle? Like, did it like
oh
make like
yeah,
a violent
you
noise?
leave one dime in there and it's like a machine gun constantly going off in your house, right?
So good.
And even like the buttons to jeans, like cling, cling,
Right.
cling.
Probably weighed like 7 tons. Yeah.
It was a tank.
Yeah.
And it was like a tan color. Like I don't even
You
think they
could
make
you could get in
appliances in
it
that color.
for a hurricane.
Oh
You'd be
yeah,
fine. Yeah.
easily. You could probably fit in it too. Like it was just big and massive, right?
Like you and me together or just me?
You can go in the wash, I'll go in the dryer.
Okay. There we go. All right.
And
Fair enough.
when we finally decided, like, and it wasn't one of those things where we were like, oh, it's not working. We were like, it's probably time for us to upgrade. That's what we thought naively back then. We're going to upgrade to like a modern washer and dryer, right? So we got this modern washer and dryer. And I swear the washer has a larger menu than most fast food restaurants. Like there's 30 fucking settings, right? Like it's just like, it's like delicate, extra large, normal, jeans, kids, like
Seductive.
yeah,
Right.
and yeah, and
some
I'm
words
like,
you're like, what? Like,
yeah, and I'm looking, I'm like, what? How are you supposed to separate
sensitive.
this
Right.
from like when I see normal? I think like that's my laundry probably looks like 95% of America's laundry. Like there's jeans, boxers, socks, sweatshirts, t-shirts. It's laundry, right?
Delicates.
Yeah, that's a setting, right? But then there's a setting that says jeans. So I'm like, I just wash my jeans with everything. Like it's like if I'm doing laundry, I don't separate colors, darks, whites. I basically separate by top of the hamper, and that's one
Right.
load. Bottom of it, that's one load, right?
But what's the science that their R&D said, like, this is the exact prime temperature of the water for jeans, which is going to be different than cottons.
Like so if I have 2 pairs of jeans, 3 sweatshirts, 5 boxers, like a random workout towel,
all
1 pair
colors.
of shorts and 3 t-shirts, what's the setting?
Normal.
That's normal, right?
Yeah.
But then there's like extra large. And I'm like, every load I do is
how much
extra large.
water goes in?
Yeah, like I put clothes in there, not until the top. Like I'm not an idiot, right? I look and go, that's a reasonable size, right? Like that's how I sort of measure it. I'm like, you could probably fit something else, but like I do it until you can't fit 1 or 2 more items. I go, that's probably right. I'm not going to jam it in there. I'm going to get it to 1 or 2 items shy of full. But then I look and I'm just like, ding, 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 like the lights going down the little thing. Yeah. And I'm just like normal. I just want
dialing it in.
Because then I'll have 2 or 3 pairs of jeans in there and there'll be a jean setting. I'm like, well, what's that going to do to my t-shirts?
Does it make cool noises? Or does it go like beep, boop, boop?
So what happened? Yeah, it's like an R2 unit, right?
Yeah.
So what happens though is that when you first do it, it spends 10 minutes trying to center itself. It's like,
yeah.
And it's
calibrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens too, and this is like if my wife were listening to this right now, she would just start shaking, right? Because what will happen is like with 15 minutes left in the wash, it will turn off because it doesn't like the balance before it goes into the spin cycle. It doesn't like the way that the clothes are distributed inside the washing machine. And I'm like, you know what? And like, so her and I just long for the days of 3 settings and a machine like the old one that we had. You could seriously throw a bag of rocks in there and it'll dry them. Like it just didn't care what the fuck was in there, right? And like that's we miss that because it's so complicated now.
It was a simpler time, John.
Yeah, I don't need a washing machine that balances where it's at. Just I'm going to throw it in there. You're going to mix it up with water and soap and spin it around a little bit. Then I'm going to put in this other machine. It's going to dry the hell out of it, and we're done.
Yeah.
Even the dryer has like 15 settings. Like I just want to try normal. I just go normal. Yeah. Like I'm all pissed off. And also, like, this goes back to the body dysmorphia. Is that what it's called? Body
dysmorphia.
Right. So the dryer is a tricky thing for me because when I
Go
buy
on.
clothes, um, the dryer, like when they fit perfect, I'm looking, I go, okay, I don't feel fat, I don't look fat. I feel like this is a good shirt. It's solid. I know through decades of experience that like I always have to buy a little bit big. So when I'm looking, I go, this looks a little bit big because what happens is I put it in the dryer and it shrinks. So if
Sure.
like I find the perfect t-shirt and it fits perfectly in the store, I'll put it in the dryer. Then I'll put it on and I'll feel like a sausage because it's shrunk to the point where she's like,
Right.
and it doesn't have the same fit that it had in there.
I
So
think
like
yeah.
I have to buy a little bit bigger. Or what I do, and I actually literally like a week ago, I just made my wife do this, is I had it like I was sent a bunch of team t-shirts, cool t-shirts from one of the teams that we're with.
Mhm.
And I'm like, these fit perfectly. Fuck. Like I'm not gonna dry clean these, right? Like they're t-shirts.
Right.
But I know that one cycle through the dryer and they're being donated, right? So I actually what I do is like I make her watch them so that as soon as they're just not damp, like right when they're dry, I feel like if I can get one cycle through the dryer
Mhm.
where they dry enough to not be wet, but don't complete the full dryer, that's as much shrinking as they'll do.
Can you send one in as like a test and put it on like delicate?
I guess
Yeah,
if I want
that's
to
what
buy
I would
two
do.
of everything,
No, but you're getting these. These are gifted, you know.
yeah,
When we
but
start
there's still
getting
only one of
sponsored
them, right?
t-shirts, yeah.
I guess I could. I don't know, but
I,
or I could just be comfortable with shirts that fit.
right.
That
I
seems like an
found the
easier solution.
I found the perfect t-shirt though. I've been on the hunt. This is where I'm going to plug something and send us a product because I'll keep plugging you. Um, I've been on the hunt for like the perfect white t-shirt that fits well, that does what you're talking about. It doesn't go down in size when you wash it.
It's the worst.
And I finally found it. It's a company called Buck Mason. And they have all of their clothes are very basic
I was
in the
about to write it
sense,
down. Like I can't find you to tell
right?
me. Okay.
But they have t-shirts that are cut in a certain way that aren't like the t-shirts that you see on like YouTube commercials. No problem. We'll take those commercials too if they come. But like where it's the perfect fit, it's tight in the arms and it fits, for any guy's frame. Buck Mason t-shirts. What I like about them, the cut of them is that it's a $35 basic white t-shirt, but it stays in size. And once you find your size, you're dialed in.
Yeah.
Now you can get all of like, so say you're an extra large. You can then the extra large, you can see how long you want the trunk to be. Do you want it to kiss like where your belt is? Do you want it 2 inches lower? Because sometimes you have a t-shirt that like fits well here and it's really long, or
Yeah.
it's tight here and it's not tight here. So finally finding that and then dialing it in has been great for me because now I know exactly like that. That's no longer a problem in my life. Like I can find another perfect white t-shirt, buckmason.com. And you go there and you're just like, now someone sensible has made something. It's a quality product, but it doesn't shrink the minute you wash it.
So
And
it
you can
doesn't shrink
wash
at
it with,
all.
no, and you can just treat it like a pair of socks. You don't have to be delicate with it and be like, oh, this is like a really nice. They hold up well. So I love finding things like that it's not an $80 t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like I was seeing things that are $80, $90 for a t-shirt. And I was like, that seems
So do you like that's the only
stupid.
t-shirt you buy? You buy like 10 of them.
Yeah. Or I'll buy stuff like this. Like I love like just weird t-shirts. Like I had to get rid of a bunch of t-shirts because I was just holding on to too many of them. But I do like, yeah, once I find something, I'll just buy those.
I've found I have in my closet, I probably have 2 or 3 sweatshirts that still have the tags on them because they're backup sweatshirts to the exact same sweatshirt I wear every
It's
day in
perfect.
case that sweatshirt gets ruined.
Yeah.
Because like once I find a sweatshirt that or a shirt or anything that like goes through the wash and I actually like the way I look when I'm looking in the mirror, Like that's so rare that like I go, this is now my most prized possession of a sweatshirt, a
Right.
fucking sweatshirt, a hoodie, right? And it fits so perfect that like I'll go buy another one just to keep on deck
Just
because
backup. It makes
yeah,
sense.
because I
Why all the
always get
colors?
again like I get things coming out of the dryer and like sometimes they shrink in and I put it on and I'm just like, oh, that's too tight. Or they shrink all around or they shrink up. Have you ever had that happen? Like I'll put it on and I'm like, now all of a sudden it's like right at my waist, which again, my wife swears to me is how it's supposed to look. But but
She's
but I
right.
put it on and I'm like, this came up a little bit. It doesn't
Mine's
kind of
arms.
hang.
All of a sudden, it was perfect in the arms, and now it's not. Because if I move my arms and then it like comes down to here, I'm like, God, like, can I have something that's long in the arm and maybe like your wife said, like shorter in the waist part? But then when you wash it, it always is at the arms for me. Like the arms just get smaller,
I'll tell you
and
what
that's
tilts
annoying.
me is like whether it's a sweatshirt or a t-shirt or something, like if I find one that fits great and there's two different colors, it's like there's a navy blue and there's a gray and the gray fits me perfect. So I'll just go buy the navy blue off the rack. Then I'll get home and try it on and it fits completely different. It's the
Mhm.
same store, same sweatshirt, same brand, same everything, different color, different fit.
Do you think you would ever, again, this is sort of a tangent, like we've been in a business that you can wear suits, like some like what we wear. Like I wore like 2 jobs ago, I wore a suit every day because that was just my thing. I had a lot of suits. Was wearing a suit. When we worked together, it was more like a hoodie environment, sort of like hoodies and t-shirts. But I'm not saying that's a wrong. Like, you know what I mean? I'm saying like, it's just you just go with what you're comfortable in.
Right.
But I've never worked in an environment where, like, if you think at track or where the people, your clients, things where there's like a bit of a uniform, like you know what I'm saying? Like the pressed shirt and the golf pants, like you're
Right.
wearing a
Right.
uniform. I've never had to wear a uniform
But I feel like
or
companies
the
where you have to
logo
wear a suit,
things.
that's a uniform.
Yeah, but it's not like, it's not logoed out. It's not like that
So you're
my
talking
name
about like
isn't on
working at
it.
a Best Buy?
Yeah, like anything
Like
with a name tag
yeah,
or a company logo, constantly like having a brand on your chest, on a pullover, on a hat, on like you're in brand with the company you're working for. Like you're, like, again, like if you worked at Toyota, you would have, and you went to work, one would assume you're going to be wearing a Toyota golf shirt,
got it.
and that's what you wear, and or the Toyota TRD pressed white dress shirt, and that's what you wear to work. And then if you're going to go out, you have a pullover that has Toyota on it. You know what I mean? Like you're on brand.
Yeah.
And I've never worked at a place where there was a brand.
I'm not
Like
even sure those guys are forced to do any of that
they're not, I don't think it, I
at
don't know
track
if
they
it's
do.
yeah, track. Yeah. I would always assume in office they would be too, but I guess not. I don't know.
Nah, I mean they do. I mean, we design a lot of that stuff. The shirts are
Right.
cool, like the t-shirts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the stuff I wear. I was only in one company ever that there was a dress code. And by dress code, it just meant no shorts.
Which is
And it
fine.
yeah, well, it pissed me off, right? And I wrote, I feel like I've covered this. I feel like didn't we cover this another? I wrote a
Yes.
whole long letter that
You
was
wrote
explained
a
why.
very good
3 pages.
debate.
I would have won a court case,
Yeah.
right? And then the
It was
guy
a
was like,
thesis.
everything you said is spot on. Can't
No.
disagree one bit.
Right.
But if you wear shorts, I have to let everyone wear shorts. And if everyone wears shorts, that's going to be a fucking disaster.
Right.
So, because there's people who just aren't going to do it right. So, can you please just accept the fact that you're a sacrifice for the morons who wouldn't know how to dress in shorts? And I was like, you can't argue that, right?
Right.
Like, I can't debate that.
I worked at a place that was like a .com tech company, to be nameless. That there were times where I was looking at people and they looked like they were wearing their pajamas, like they just rolled out of bed. Like that to me was the level where I was like, well, they're not wearing shorts, but they are wearing flannel bottoms and like a hoodie. And you're kind of like, you're not even trying.
Right.
Or The other weird thing that I saw was like slippers. Like people would take their shoes off and like wear slippers around the office. I was like, is there going to be like a nap time? Again, I was the suit. So I was just, I tried to like bust people's chops once in a while, but like that to me was like, I guess because of the era or how I was raised, or at least how I was groomed as a person in advertising, was you present yourself the way you want your clients to see you, or how, like I worked in an environment where you wore suits every day. When I was at Blattner Bruner, you wore suits every day, and Friday was casual Friday. And that meant you could wear khakis. And that's it. Like you couldn't wear jeans, and you still
So even so in advertising marketing, you wore a suit every day.
Every day.
A suit.
Mm-hmm. And our vice president of client services, his point was, you never know when I'm going to need you or your client's going to need you. Like, I'm going to need you to get up, get in my car, and go with me to this. And if I'm wearing a suit and you're wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, we have a problem, because I'm going to need you off the bench. So everyone's going to wear a suit every day, because you never know. And like, I bought suits and I got fitted for suits, and I bought shirts. So I just got used to wearing them all the time. Like even in the summer, think about the summer, like July in DC, and you get off the train and it's like 90 some degrees and it's humid, and you're in a suit.
How many suits do you own?
11.
Wow.
I buzzed in really quickly.
Yes. I have 2.
Because I just literally went through them and put them all on to see if they fit.
I have 2 suits. One is funeral, the other's wedding. Like one is darker and a little bit more reserved. The other one, has little stripes. It's a little bit more fun. So it's like wedding, bar mitzvah. I don't even know what another occasion where I'd wear a suit. I honestly don't. What?
Wedding,
funeral. Wedding, bar bat mitzvah.
Funeral?
Yeah, well, that's the other suit.
The other suit. That's a sad
suit. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
it doesn't even fit well. I don't want to go there and look good
through that suit once in a while, and there's like a black yarmulke on it, or like it has like the
or I'll find a little prayer card that you get at like the pamphlet.
The death pamphlet. Like,
but that's like, I'm very, and again, I think it's back to the body image. Like I don't, first of all, I get really uncomfortable when I have things tucked in. No matter how many times my wife says it makes you look thinner.
Yeah, probably slimming.
It makes you look thinner. Like she just stares at me like, it makes you, and but like I just feel so self-conscious when it's tucked in, and I can never keep a good tuck. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I can never, that. Because again, my body doesn't allow, like I'll look at guys who are like in shape, or just at least shaped normal, right? And like the shirt will go into the pants, and there'll be a tiny little bit over the belt, like a tiny little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how? I'm like, it never moves. Like if I'm with them all day, it's always tucked in there. Me, because I got the thin waist and the belly kind of over that, it has to mushroom a little bit. Like I have to pull the shirt out a little bit all the way around. And then what happens is the back gets pulled out too much. The side gets pulled out a little bit. Like it just, I don't, and even if it's in my mind, that's what I'm thinking, is like, it looks like an EKG machine going around my waist tucked in, because it's coming out in so many different angles that it doesn't keep a perfect circle. Yeah. So I'll always keep my jacket on. Like we'll be 2 hours into like we've already gotten to the conga line of the wedding, and I still have my jacket on.
I never take my jacket off.
Because I don't like what or once my jacket comes off, the shirt becomes untucked, button goes, tie hangs down.
Tie becomes a bandana.
It becomes the
that guy.
One. Yeah. And
Frank the Tank comes out. Yeah.
I just don't like the way I feel. I lose confidence in a suit, which is weird because, to the outside world, I probably look better than this disheveled mess.
Well, the queer eye for the straight guy part of this episode is me showing, like, there's a way you can pleat the shirt. You do 2 like folds. It's like the military does it also. Like you pull, if you don't have a slim cut shirt where it's like form fitting, like
there's nothing with the word slim on it in my.
Okay. I
That's the
found
I can't stand when I pick up a
bananarepublic.com.
shirt. Yeah, when I
Right.
pick up a shirt and I'm like, I love this shirt. This looks good. And as soon as I take it to the dressing room, I unbutton it and I see in the little tag slim fit. I'm just like, fuck.
Right.
Like I can't do any slim fit type stuff.
Well,
Even if it looked good,
right.
even if it fit perfectly. Remember that show, What Not to Wear, where
Yes.
where those two people just humiliate you in front of a 360
They go through your closet. Yeah.
Yeah. And they bring all your stuff. And like, I would try it on and they would be like, look how frumpy you look. I'd be like, yeah, okay. I believe you. I feel
Right.
good. Yeah, but you look like shit. I feel good. And then they put on something that fits well. They'd be like, look how much better you look. I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't make me feel good. I believe you.
When I got
believe
divorced,
you're telling me the truth, but I'm never going to wear it.
Right. When I got divorced, this is sort of a funny story. Like I moved into an apartment and I had, notwithstanding the clothes that I left, like that I moved that were on hangers, I had 11 bags of clothing. And
like shopping bag, like
grocery, like not shopping bag, like
trash bags
of clothing.
That's a lot.
11 bags, John. I'm not lying. It's a lot of clothing. It was sort of embarrassing. So then I had friends come over and we opened up bottles of wine and they literally sat in chairs and I started like holding things up. And they were like, there was a yes, no, and maybe pile. And the no, obviously, everything that I didn't I didn't keep went to like Goodwill, and that I could give and then I did the my more like business attire went to what's that nonprofit? It's like Suits, where they give I can't remember the name of it, but it's a nonprofit that gets guys, mostly men, off the streets, and then they're
so they look good for interviews,
for job interviews. Like yeah. So I gave them a bunch of stuff. But I remember, John, like holding up some things, and like again, this is like 15 years worth of clothing, so there's all kinds of designs and things, and like, what? I like this bowling shirt. And it was just like, nope. And like, just they're sitting there with glasses
Mitch on it.
Yeah. I defended them. Like they were like, like I was in court and I was like, but this got me through some rough times. And it was 2003 and we played, we were playing at this festival. I was like, no. And like, I wasn't allowed, like I was allowed to defend the garment, but they ruled.
Yeah.
I got rid of 9 bags of clothes. And it just shows like what it also showed me was the purge of like, you don't need a lot of stuff, like a lot of clothing. You need to find some things you like and then invest in some good pieces. But everything else is like semi-disposable in my mind. Like you can buy.
Like for me though, like when I travel, I pack, like if I'm gone for 3 days, I'll pack 6 days worth of clothes because if I feel good in a t-shirt while I'm packing and I get there and I don't feel good in it, or I don't like the way it looks, or the hotel mirror is different, I need backup. Like I can't just go out without confidence. I need to have 2 or 3 different go-to, and I love them just, it's always t-shirts, right? Like I'm packing, but this is what I do with my t-shirts. Like when you were telling the story about the guy who said, I need you up on deck, so everyone has to be wearing a suit all the time. It's weird because I have a completely different philosophy on clothes and stuff than him, completely different. Because if I work there and he said that to me, I would say, I'm the idea person. I'm the creative person. I come up with these kinds of things.
Right.
Do you really, you said, what happens if we have to meet with a client? The client is not hiring this. The client's hiring that.
Right.
And if the client is fooled by this, I almost don't trust. Like whenever I meet with creatives who come looking like they wear a tie or they button up their shirt, things like that, like it's almost like they have to really impress me to be found innocent because they're guilty the second they walk through the door. And that's just, again, my agency, my rules, my philosophy, but I feel that way. I don't think people are crazy who want everyone in suits just in case. Like, I don't think wearing a suit to go see a client is crazy. I
I
just
had,
I just believe so firmly in our ability to get the job done
right.
that I don't care. It shouldn't matter what I wear. And that's what I'm like I love when someone comes into an interview and they're just in a t-shirt, jeans, you know, like old looking sneakers. I'm like, this
Mhm.
guy's probably fucking good
Yeah.
because there's a confidence to that the
Right. I was
work is going
about
to
to say that.
speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what, here's something funny too. Like, you know, that I'm a pretty simple person with regards to like spending. Like
Mhm.
I'm not like a brand person, right? Like I'll get shorts from Old Navy. I'll get like, and the Angela will bring me home like t-shirts from Target, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
the Who. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm wearing it, right. Like I don't.
Right.
There's nothing I really like spending money on. Even cars. Like I'll take whatever. I'll drive a
I'm going
car
to
until
buzz
it's
in really
fall.
quickly. Watches.
That's where I was getting to, right?
I was going
So
to say, I
I was
don't
building
know.
up, right? I
Right.
have one. That's it. That's my one thing, right?
Yeah.
And the reason, and I feel like there's a good reason, right? The reason is because, if I'm wearing a Rolex, like, and most of the time I wear the Apple Watch, right? Because it,
Hmm.
but if I go to see a client and I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans and sneakers and a Rolex, it they look at that and I know they look, right, because a lot,
Right.
especially the car guys,
Yep.
right, a lot of people I deal with, they notice it. um they think, okay, he's not just a slob, this is a
Right.
choice, he's making a statement, right?
Hmm.
Because if I didn't have any watch whatsoever, they'd be like, does this guy even make money? Like, it was like, it's not like they don't trust me, but the Rolex validates, because my uniform at work, 365, you know, that is
Yep.
hoodie, jeans, or t-shirt, jeans, right? That's it. That's what I do at work. And then when I'm not at work, I rarely wear shorts at work. Sometimes I do. I rarely do though, but it's t-shirt, hoodie, jeans. That's it. You look at my closet, and the main area where you go are all t-shirts that are hanging up. And
Mm.
underneath that are hoodies that are hanging up. Then there's a small little section. There's like 6 button-down shirts, right?
Right.
Like that's I have the closet of a college student. Like
Right.
it's sad, right? But I've got a collection of nice watches because I feel like that's the piece
Right. And that
that
makes
allows
sense.
me to do the rest.
Yeah. I've found that like in all the years of doing advertising, like I had a pretty cool leader boss that when if we were going to go talk to new clients or like if I was being onboarded a client, we had even had this like language of like, who do you need me to be? Because I can be a bit of a chameleon. Like
Oh,
because
for
I'm
sure.
covered in tattoos, I can be tattoo guy or I can be guy in a suit and you would not even know I had one tattoo. Well, now that I have my hands tattooed,
Yeah.
but it's funny because I always felt, if again, this is just my problem, that if I went in to meet a client and their first impression was t-shirt, Guns N' Roses, and tattoos, and they're more of a conservative brand, and they're going to give me their $3 million budget, and I'm now going to allocate that. They might look at me like, "What is going on here? Why is Tommy Lee like going to be dealing with our money?" Because of my outer shell. So in
Right.
your theory, like I'm the idea guy, but if I'm the strategy guy or I'm account services, like my first impression is always, you will not know I have one tattoo. You will not know it because I don't want to be judged at that moment. I don't want it to be part of the equation. I want you just to like, I'll win you over. I'll get your confidence and we're going to go on forward here. The next time we're together and you sign and I get your confidence and I've built up a relationship with you, you're now going to know I have a lot of tattoos. And they're always like, oh, wow, you have a lot of tattoos. It's like, yeah, but I'm the same guy. It's not like
Right.
Clark Kent, Superman. Like nothing's changed. It's not like now I'm going to become super violent because I have tattoos. Like I just didn't want, I never wanted it. It's part of who I am, but I never wanted it to define me in the sense of business.
See, isn't that like weird though? Like,
Sure.
because
But
I'm
it's
genuinely,
reality.
yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know if weird's the right word. Maybe sad or like unfortunate,
Yeah, it's
you
unfortunate.
know,
That's a good word.
because it's I know that if I walk into a meeting and I'm wearing a t-shirt and jeans and they don't want to do business with me because I'm not in a suit or because I'm not even in a button down and khakis, there's no way our relationship is going to work out. Like, so if I knew going in that I'm not going to get the business unless I'm wearing a button down and a khaki. If I put on a button down and khakis, walked in, got the business, something's going to derail a day, a week, a month, a year later, because we don't see things. To me, rejecting the way that you look or that you dress is just a symptom of a much larger disease that no matter whether you get the business or not, it's going to manifest eventually, and everything's going to derail. And I do the same thing in interviews too. Like even back when I was interviewing, before we started the agency, I would wear jeans and a t-shirt to interviews. Mm-hmm. And if they judge me based on that, there's no way I want to work there, because that's what
I've always said, if I've had a team and we're going to go pitch new business, and this is going to be, I guess, sound a little horrible saying it out loud, but it's the reality of what we do, or any sales. I want at least one person on our team to be one of them, at least to look like one of them. And that sounds horrible to say out loud, but again, it is the reality of the beginning of a relationship.
It's a comfort.
Right. Because if there's one of them, and that's where I felt like I could be the chameleon. If I'm working at a .com digital marketing agency and everyone's wearing hoodies, I always was like, well, I'll just be the suit in the room, because that way, while I'm comfortable in those clothes, but at the same time, I can just play. I know how to play off it. Well, I'm just a suit. What do I know? You know what I mean? Like I know where to sit in that room, but I always felt like someone should be that role. Someone should be sort of the wink. I'm with you guys. Like, I know what you're doing, even if you're not. And that sounds horrible to say out loud.
Yeah.
But it's that first impression. And then what always spoke is, this is the work. The work speaks, and your customer service speaks. It has nothing to do with like what you look like.
Right.
And eventually you break through all that shit. But I think when it's initially like just trying to get to build confidence in someone buying into what you're selling, unfortunately, like, how many times have you been in a room where, and this is even horrible, we've all been in it, where like all of a sudden old school guys are like just trying to bring in women into the team just so we can even the room out.
Right.
I always felt that was super weird and always made me feel super gross, where I was like, well, why aren't they part of this to begin with? And two, why aren't you inwardly looking at your agency and saying, why do we have to fill the room with quote unquote, to even the room out? Because if we go in with too many guys and they might have a woman that's the leader of the, like, it just, that was another level to this. I always felt was really gross.
Yeah.
Like that.
I agree.
That the agency itself didn't promote women just because they're good. You know what I mean? Right. Like, and that's a reality, and I think that's a reality that I think a lot of women and minorities went through and go through in our business. But, dryer sheets, man, fucking dryer sheets.
Did you ever?
Fucking dryer sheets. I do like that.
See, we should have covered it. We would have had a 3-hour episode last week if we had covered dryer sheets.
Oh God, we would have kept talking and talking.
Did you ever make a little Mr. Smokey device?
Oh yeah, where you blew
with dryer sheets?
Yeah. College, that was the big thing. That was like the minute you said dryer sheets, that's where my head went. It did not go to like that. It went to a tube from a roll of toilet paper,
stuffed with dryer sheets,
and you blew weed smoke through it.
Yeah, it worked.
Oh, it totally worked. But when was the first time you learned that was a thing?
College, freshman year.
You watched someone else do it.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, didn't you learn so much in college by just being present?
Yeah, I tell people all the time that the information that you learn in college and that you memorize and that you regurgitate, it's sort of like the price you pay for the real knowledge you get in college, and just actually being there. So whenever I see all these online courses, I'm like, but that's not college. That's learning stuff. Like, why do you even need a degree online? You can just go online and start memorizing stuff, and you can be self-taught. If, I get that there's, but John, you need a degree to get a job. Kind of. I mean, that's changing a little bit, but But if you really want, if you're going to college to learn stuff, you can self-teach all that stuff,
Oh,
right?
it's just information. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just information. You find it's not like how the Revolutionary War played out changes from college to college. They're all facts,
It's all
right?
data. Yeah.
But the real reason why I champion college and why I'm glad I went to college is all the other shit, right? It's being there, it's living there. And like, I know that like Mr. Smokey sounds like such a stupid thing that you learn in college, but like, there's an intelligence to that that translates to other aspects of problem solving.
Problem solving. You took it right.
It's problem solving, right? And to me, like that's skill because like it might come in handy for something else, right? Like where it's not just, and even if it's keeping pot smokes from the kids, right? Like it's a skill that, and it's not like I walked in one day and was just like, if only there was a way that this could not smell like pot, right?
Right.
And then start looking around and being like, all right, I've got a dryer sheet, like MacGyver. I have a mesh hat, two pens, sort of dryer sheet, a tube, right, and some, and it like, yeah, it's not like I tried to figure that out, but there's always, the older guys like who are just like,
you watch someone do that. And like, I remember being like, is that a silencer for a gun? Like, what the fuck is he doing? And then because when you're that young in that environment, if you're smart, you just keep your mouth shut. Yeah. And you just watch and you're like, okay, oh, that's what he's doing. Okay. Remember the first time someone like handed you a bong and you're like, I don't know what to do with it. So you had to watch someone else do it. I mean, a bong.
You know what I did with it? I took in about half a gallon of the most disgusting water that's ever. That's what I did with it.
I used to love watching newbies with a bong. They'll light it and then they're like around the bowl part, and they're like, like anytime you see someone that they haven't seen someone do it first,
they're trying to put their mouth on the hole and put your finger over.
Like we had so many bongs in college, and it was so funny that was like the way the way we ingest, like doing like a bong hit before you went to like to go get dinner. Like that was a big thing. We're just one bong hit and then we're gonna go on. And we all were doing bong hits, like just enough to just like, I'm kind of high. And then, but I remember just being like pulling a tube.
Yeah.
Like I think my freshman and sophomore year of college, I mean, I didn't sit around all day and do bong hits, but I remember it was part of the ritual. If we were going to go do something, everyone did a bong hit. Like you didn't do a bunch of them. You just did, you pulled a tube and you're like, all right, let's roll.
Yeah. When my freshman year in college, my friend and I, who I know is a listener, I won't mention any names, but I know he actually listens to this podcast. He and I were roommates, and like we would wake up at the crack of 11:30, right, go down to the cafeteria, which is right outside of our dorm, get a pizza, come back, just start shredding through weed, and then watch Days of Our Lives. Like that was
sounds like my junior year of college.
Yeah. That was basically our routine it didn't matter whether we had a 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, like we blew it off or we did whatever. It was pizza, weed, Days of Our Lives. Like we were into Days of Our Lives enough that like we would buy the little soap opera guide at the grocery store, like that. And it was great. I don't know that I've ever seen an episode sober, so I can't tell you like what, or at least not high.
Any of the storylines, right?
But I will say this, I remember the first time that I took a pull from a hookah, like like it looks like it did in Alice in Wonderland, right? Like it was this big thing
with that big tray
with like 6.
Yeah.
They almost look like bungee cords coming
like an
out.
Octopus.
Yeah. And I remember, someone in my fraternity had it. We all kind of stand around, right? He lights up and it was just weed, right? It wasn't like, we're smoking opium, but he lights it up, right? And we all go, and I'll never forget. So I put in my mouth and I'm like, and like, I'm turning red.
Right.
And then everyone releases and it's like, and you get to me, it's like, and like nothing. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And everyone's just staring at me and I'm like, and like, I'm shaking.
Right.
I'm like, nothing. And then someone just takes it from me and like the hole was capped.
It's probably like a little thing on the top.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and I'm like, why would someone do this? And they're like, because if only 1 or 2 people are doing it, it's going to escape through all the other holes.
Right.
So you have to all take the cap off, you moron, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And then like he goes and light again. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like once the cap's gone.
The hookah just always reminded me of serious drug use.
what like what would make you say that?
I don't know why, but like if I sell a hookah and a bunch of guys on a hookah,
Yeah,
I'm like, they're in, they're locked in and they're
right.
like into their drugs. Like
they're a friend, they're a clique.
Right.
Like wherever you are, they're the clique within the
again,
clique.
being a mushroom eater and a pot smoker in college. I don't know why, but I had these like suburban degrees of drug use. Like I was like, it's okay that we have bongs and it's okay that we smoke a bowl or out of an apple or whatever. But the minute you see some new device like a hookah, you're like, that seems serious. That's a deeper end of the pool that I don't know if I'm ready to go to.
Did you ever make the soda bottle gravity bong?
I saw it one time and I watched the guy do it and I was like, nope. Well, I just remember being like, I don't want to cough that much. I don't want to look like I'm going to throw up. I just remember him doing it and thinking he was going to die from coughing. And I was like,
what's awesome?
I don't want to cough that much.
And you glazed over this, but this is just great to just, kind of bring to the surface. Is you're like, I don't care if you have a water bong, a pipe, a joint, an apple.
Yeah.
We've all smoked out of an apple. And that's it's like, how is an apple more accessible than a pipe? You know what I'm saying?
I love that someone was like, give me that. And so that is the resourcefulness and engineering of a drug.
And then again, college, I saw someone doing that. And
I saw someone do it. I'm like, is it that bad that we're smoking out of apples? And like, then I did it. I'm like, this wasn't bad.
Like, and it's like, it's because like, someone's just like, I need to fashion a smoking device. Or an apple is pretty malleable. You know what I'm saying? Like I can chisel through a little hole. I watched some tin foil on the top there.
I'll never forget where the drug game, like being around drugs, sort of my junior, senior year, it was like there were next level things I started seeing where like someone heating up knives, like kitchen knives, and then taking a piece of hash and then pressing them together. And then the smoke comes up and then everyone sort of smokes in the smoke that's coming up from the two hot knives. I remember seeing that.
See, to me, that's more next level than
that seemed like, I was like, that seems like that's literally one day away from smoking crack.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt that way.
That's
again,
an addiction.
In my suburban, like, I don't know, I'm comfortable with that. I'll never forget one time I was up at Penn State visiting, when you went to go see you were at Maryland, we went to go see the Phi Caps at Maryland one time and we like hung out with them. So you go see your like, brother.
We had a chapter at Penn State I've been to.
So I went to Penn State for this party and they had these humongous, you had a house, but they had this humongous like fraternity house. And it was like the Phi Caps.
They were all
like
big
us.
At Penn State. Yeah.
Yeah. They were sort of like us. And that was kind of cool. Like we all got along. But I remember this guy, I'll never forget it. He had like what the Flintstones wore when they were at the Poobahs. That it had horns and it was this hat. And he walked around. It was before the guy that like went to the Capitol.
Oh, you're right. Like
that guy.
Yeah. Like a buffalo thing.
Yeah. It was that hat though. And I'm like, yeah, I know that dude. But it was, he'd probably like be 56 at this point. But anyway, he had that hat. And he was walking around and you could tell like he was the PSer, he was the pot smoker of the group. And we all like one time and like, he's like, hey, you want to go get high? And like he grabbed a bunch of us, we went upstairs. And when someone says, do you want to go get high? You don't know what that means.
Right.
Like, you don't know if someone's going to be like tying off and like shooting up heroin. You're like that, because that's getting high. So you have to kind of go, yeah, I like getting high. And then you have to walk in very gingerly and be like, what is where it's like someone saying, do you like to party?
Right.
I mean, I guess I don't know what your level of party is, but sure. And that could mean wife swapping. I don't know. I don't know what party means to you.
Why don't we go out to dinner and stuff?
And stuff. Best line you ever told me. I want you to go so bad because I want to know what and stuff is.
Yeah, that's we almost need to start. That's yeah. He long story short, John was invited out to a dinner by a very shady character that we were both just fascinated by because of his shadiness. And he came up to John and was like, "Hey, what do you say we go out to dinner and stuff tonight?"
And stuff.
And yeah, and John told me
stuff
that. And I'm like,
hung out there like a bubble, like, and stuff. And I was like, yeah, you, me, my old lady, we'll go out, like the three of us, we'll go out to dinner and stuff. Okay. And then I went back to John. I was like, I've been asked to dinner by this guy and his girlfriend and stuff. And he goes, you have to go because I need to know what and stuff is.
I was like, here's my credit card. Just go. I was like, make sure you buy.
I'll cover for you for dinner. Like, because it was great and stuff.
But
and stuff equaled him on his cell phone screaming at someone and me like dancing with his girlfriend doing shots. Like,
and then did he want to fight you for
then he wanted to fight me because he thought I was like hitting on his girlfriend. I was like, I'm just trying to entertain her right now at this point. This is like a Pulp Fiction moment. Yeah. You're out there doing your thing. I'm just trying to entertain your girlfriend and doing the twist and like just trying to show her a good time.
Right. Which, by the way, is not my idea of and stuff.
I thought this is going to involve masks and like lube. Like
you're right. A passport.
Right.
But you're right though. Like when someone says, "Hey, do you want to get high?" There's varying degrees because forget about what you're even going to ingest. It's also like, what do you have in mind? Is this the last thing we do all day?
Right.
Like, are we now shifting into the fun section of the day? Are we just going to get high and you're going to be like, all right, I got to go to work. See you. You know, like, is it a...
Yeah. And his high was smoke opium. I swear to God. Stuff. Out of a peace pipe that had feathers. So he's got this buffalo thing on. He puts on like some Doors music, which was cliche, but perfect.
But it works.
And I smoked opium.
How was it?
It was amazing.
I know. Opium, I'm just kidding. I know.
Opium is no wonder like countries and nations crumbled because of it. Like I can see why no one wanted to do anything because you're just like, I'm good. Everything's great. Like you're functional, but you do want to lie around a little bit and listen to some music. And I could have been there for 5 minutes.
I don't need opium for that.
I could have been there for 5 days, but I was like, all right, I never need to do that again. Like, you know what I mean? Like I knew.
How long did it last?
A couple hours. Like I was pretty high.
I did it once. I know I did it once. And
I remember different high.
I did it once and it honestly didn't register good or bad. It was just another day that I was just being irresponsible.
Yeah. Like opium. Like I would never want to do it again. Like if I don't, again, it's like, where do you get one? Where did you get opium? Fine. The opium guy. And two, like,
right.
Like, yeah, like we're in college. Like there was like times where I would see drugs and I was like, all these things register for me. I get these drugs. And then you kind of like see the fringe of it and you're like, oh, you guys are it. This is serious stuff. Like okay. Weird. You know,
what's the weirdest thing that you've ever smoked out of?
Oh.
I don't have an answer, by the way. I'm just because now I'm thinking, I'm like, because we didn't even mention like soda can was always the
soda can. Yeah. But
that was the like, Apple of the, like there was nothing more available.
And all you needed was like a push pin.
Yeah. Or even like a key, can. Like just to like it's literally just because it's got the built-in hole, you dented it, right? Like,
you put your thumb into it and then
you went, and then you put a couple of holes, put up there
and put a shotgun in it. Like, cause you could just, which worked, but who knows what we were doing to ourselves, smoking and heating up aluminum, you know, like, I don't know.
Well, the good news is, you know, this is 30 years later and I seem to be okay from it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've smoked out of a can since I was 20, right? Like,
but we would know how to do it.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I think I don't know if someone handed me a knife and some tinfoil and an apple to be like, can you make a bong out, like a bowl out of this? I'm like, I guess, like, you know, give me a second. I got to figure this out again.
Didn't you use a straw too?
Yes. I think you could use a straw or you could, depending, I guess, on the size of the apple, you could just kind of like cock it and do one of those things. I'm trying to think the weirdest thing I've smoked out of. I don't know. I have to get back.
I don't know. I don't know that I have a cool.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one you're like, what? Like, you know.
Yeah, it's not like I smoked out of like this tennis racket, one Wimbledon with Bjorn Borg. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, no way. It's a tennis racket.
Yeah.
You know,
But
like,
anytime I saw like gravity bongs or like bongs with extensions, like that wasn't my jam. Like I just remember seeing people cough for 5 minutes, like that. That just seems like a bad trip. And then you're just too high. And people now like have edibles. And edibles to me is like a whole other game of delivering drugs that you just don't. I don't know.
I don't have enough. First of all, there's something fun about the smoking activity.
Oh, it's the ritual.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's social, and like you kind of passing around, and like you're lighting it, and like you're like,
Mm-hmm.
you have a pretty good idea of what you're taking. And a lot of it too is just my experience. So if you just handed me a bag of weed, because right now there's, that's legal almost everywhere. There's 900 different kinds. I don't even know what's what anymore. Yeah. Like you walk in and you're like, I want to giggle a little bit, not be so tired, but not also be shot. And they're like cartoon giggle or heady sitcom giggle. And you're like, fuck, like college giggle, and like, just
want to be a little high.
Yeah. And like, so when I'm given a bag of grass, like I know
grass.
What? So like, great. I'm so old. Dude, we're so old. We're so old. I'm gonna go.
I'm just like smoking those marijuana cigarettes.
I'm gonna walk. It came out so naturally. Dude, it came out so naturally. Yeah, it came out so naturally. I want to go walk into one of those stores and be like, "Where's your grass?"
Excuse me, old timer. I just want some grass.
Yeah,
some low grade.
Roll me a spliff. I always call it
SpongeBob SquarePants. You don't want Velvet Hammer. You don't want like War Boner. You don't want like any of these things they're naming it now. You're just like, I just want like some low grade grass. Like I just want some homegrown.
Put it's 1989. You've got a sock drawer. You find a bag in the sock drawer. It's in a bag.
It's like in a little bag.
What's in the
bag? I need to get a Styx album and we like seed and stem this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point me to something that you'd find in a 1980 sock drawer. Do you have that? Right.
That.
But
retro.
At least grass. That's
that alone's like ass. Was it the t-shirt that says ass, cash, or grass? No one rides for free. John and his grass. Go ahead. So you got your bag of grass.
I can't go on. No. We're going to call this episode grass.
Grass.
Yeah, because I think the other one was called dryer sheet. Oh, my God.
I forgot to talk about Kicking Horse Coffee. Our proud sponsor.
I still don't have a mug. I'm crying. Damn it.
That was good.
I'm a crier when I laugh. When I get really like it's not like it's embarrassing, but like something funny. And like my father's the same way. I'll immediately just start crying. They're like, "You're crying." I'm like, "It wasn't even that funny." Yeah, I don't know what happens.
I like that I made your brother laugh so hard one time. He almost died.
Yes.
Remember he choked?
Yes.
And then he was like laughing so hard, and all of a sudden it was like, and you're like, "Ooh, he's dying."
You know why? And it's because you did that bird imitation, like that the parrot. Yeah, you're like,
everyone's gonna think we got high for this. What's the matter with Pepe? He's all right. Yeah, parrot. Anyway,
edibles. I don't have enough experience to know how much is what, when to stop, and could I get that experience if I did it often? Sure. But I guess I don't feel like learning something new.
And I just don't like being high anymore. I really don't. I tried smoking pens again, and I tried to now it was legal. And again, it's the same thing. You go in and people are like, oh, you need the sativa and the blah, blah, blah. And you're like, this is just like doing Coke. And like, I just want, every time I smoke weed, all I want to do is eat nachos and go to bed. That's it. And then maybe that's what it's there for, but I don't.
I do miss giggle weed. Like what we were just doing when I called it grass. Like we would get high and then look and like we would there'd be a dog food commercial that comes on TV and we'd be laughing for 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we wouldn't even know because then it's contagious.
Right.
Like when you go on a laughing fit, everything becomes funnier. And like, I remember like one of the best nights I ever had on weed was when we watched the movie Clerks for the very first time. Remember that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Black and white. It was like the first of the what's that guy's name?
Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith. Yeah, it was like his first movie.
Yep.
It looked like it was done with a handheld camcorder.
Yeah, he probably did it for like $700. Budget. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so we all got high and like it was VHS. Someone just like, this movie's supposed to be amazing.
Right.
And like we just sit back and like we're watching it. And like there were some parts of it we are laughing so hard. Like I saw only half the movie because we were laughing through it. And like
you missed it, right?
Yeah. And then I remember bringing it back to my fraternity and being like, this is the funniest movie you'll ever see. And like, it's good.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's different.
It's not the funniest movie you've ever seen.
Not today, like it didn't hold up well. And, but at the time, part of it was that it was low. Remember, like low budget films,
very
low
mainstream.
Yeah. They didn't go mainstream.
Yeah.
So somehow it was a mainstream, low budget film, black and white, like Jay and Silent Bob are introduced for the first time. Just the acting is terrible, but that's part of what was so good about it. When you're high,
right?
When you're not high and you're not even drinking and you're playing it, it's a whole different experience.
Right. I liked,
but but that's the kind of high I like. If I can get that, because I've had people send me stuff and like, one of my friends will send me stuff from California and like, it's good. Like I don't do it often, but every once in a while, whatever it is, it's like an oil. It's not even like it's a pen that goes in an oil.
Yeah.
You smoke it and you're just kind of like, okay. Like, I don't think different. That's the one thing I don't like mind altering. I don't like when all of a sudden my reality gets warped.
Right.
I like if it just kind of like makes me just go, I don't even care about that anymore. I don't wonder why I even cared about that.
I wish there was like a weed that was like it only lasted for about an hour. And maybe it's my dose or whatever, but I don't like being high for a long time because then I get paranoid. I'm like, oh, everyone knows I'm high. And, like I can't go and do things high now as an adult, like just go to Target and go be like super high because I'll be self-conscious of like me just being high.
Yeah.
And I used to love.
And you feel like everyone knows you're high.
Sophomore year of college, again, pull a tube and go to the dining hall. Like that's a great high because you're kind of high. You're high enough and you're walking around and everyone's kind of giggling and you go get your chicken patty and you're like talking shit. And then you're just staring at the salad bar because you're like, what is the, what I mean? Like that's a good high for me. And I always love that high because you're in this like safe utopian world. Like, you're in these walls of this thing, like nothing, no one's going to come running in the room and tell you to go do something. You're like, that's what you should be doing right now. You're at the dining hall.
Right.
Like, and I even during lockdown, during the pandemic, my friend like was like really trying hard to get me to like get high. And like, I remember I ate an edible with him and we went on this bike ride. So we rode from Locust Point all the way around to Fells Point. And then we were going to like have a beer. And this
on
is
an edible.
Yeah. And I ate an edible and he's like, it's fine. It's only like X, I don't even know that milligrams, but to him, it was probably nothing to me. I was like, all right, it's just a number. Who cares? So and I trusted him. I still trust him with my life, but he gave it to me. I'm like, all right. And we went for a bike ride. We went through the Inner Harbor and like, I started feeling a little high and I was like on my bike and I'm like going in the zone. We got to Fells Point. We popped our beer. We are like sitting there drinking beer. And all of a sudden I was like high. And then he looked at me and I was like, I don't know if I can like function right now. And he goes, you're all right. And I was like, I'm super high. How long have you been standing here? And he's like, and then I became high. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm high. Am I talking right now? And he's like, John, seriously, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. And then like everything slowed down. I had to walk my bike back because I didn't think I knew how to ride a bike. That's how high I was.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And then it didn't stop. I got home and I was super high. So then I made all this stupid food, like jelly and pizza sauce. And like, I was just putting stuff together. And then I finally ate and I kind of came to after a couple hours, but I was like, I never want to be that high again. I hated it. Like I hated the ride. And I think just some people aren't weed people. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Unless,
no,
unless,
but it
unless
affects people differently too.
right.
And
Can a
it's the same
viewer
thing with
put in the
alcohol.
comments like John and I just want to get high for about an hour and giggle, smoke grass.
All right, so we'll call this episode. How long have we been doing this? What time is it?
An hour 17.
All right. So what do we call this thing? Grass.
Dryer sheets.
Well, I think last week was dry because last
Oh,
week was
fuck.
technically
Yeah,
should have
you're
been
right.
dryer sheets.
Yeah, we didn't.
I got some more weed stories. Maybe next time we'll kick it off with
drugs.
no, I mean we covered. I probably told half these stories season 1. I got a great story with a locksmith. Getting high with a locksmith. I got a couple good weed stories.
I have some dark drug stories.
You just made me remember one of my old roommates, and I know he listens too. So, hey, I came home once and my wife and I were dating at the time. We walk into my apartment and it's like, it's not smoke like something's on fire, right? You know the difference, like when you walk in and like there's smoke, something's on fire, and then there's smoke, something's wrong.
The Fire Academy taught us about that.
So I come in and it's smoky, it stinks. There's little visibility, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I take a couple steps in and I see that he's asleep on the couch, right? Mm-hmm. Ashtray of weed in front of him, pipe on the ground, just out. Right. So I go in the kitchen and I see there's smoke coming out of a pot. He was trying to make spaghetti. And so he boiled the water, put in the noodles, went to the couch,
passed out,
ripped a hit.
Yep.
Fell asleep. So the water boiled all the way. It boiled all the way down.
Burning, yeah.
Then it just started burning the spaghetti, and the spaghetti was like stuff. Like the pot, I was just like, this thing's
throw
done,
the pot
right?
out. Yep.
But like, because even when he woke up, he was like, because like imagine like you take a hit, you fall asleep, then you wake up and the room's full of smoke.
Right.
So that was
you should have run up to him and been like, man, we got to get out of here. We got to just like he's all like high and like there's just smoke everywhere.
Yeah, like he does the cartoon thing, like when he leaves and the eyes still, then they follow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll call it
sweaty
grass. I don't know. We leave it blank.
Buck Mason.
Or it could be men's fashion.
Men's fashion. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, because people would Google that.
Men's fashion.
Grass. Men's fashion.
Grass.
How about that?
That's good.
All right, John.
Another good one, man.
Been a pleasure
talking to you. All right, buddy.
All right. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. Peace.
Thank you. Kicking Horse Coffee.